In 1857, they had the church shell built, but nothing on the interior. No pews. The floors were just bare wood. So they set a target date for opening the church, regardless what it was, but they wanted to accomplish something. They set the target date of opening the church as April 1859. They brought in pews, carpeted the floor, and appointed committees on orders of Detroit Presbytery, who had been formed themselves about the same time that First Presbyterian Church was organized. Presbytery said to them, if you're going to have a church, you have to have committees to run it. That's the rule. There are 3 main committees that you have to have. Appoint those committees, and you'll be ready to go. First committee, deacons. What's the work of a deacon? It's to greet new members, to greet visitors, show people around, encourage them to become members of our church if they're so inclined, and increase our membership. Second committee that they wanted to have formed was the elders, which we call a session today. These were men with the foresight to look ahead, not 6 months or a year. They didn't plan picnics and luncheons and things like that. They thought a long way ahead. You have to remember, by 1859, Fort Street had already established the first decade of their existence, and they didn't even have a church. They might just as well have planned for centuries as well as decades, because we've now done a century and a half and still going strong. And the last group were those men who controlled the money that would come in as offerings from their members. They notified Presbytery that they were ready to go. The deacons had 1 man. He had been appointed in 1848 as a deacon. He retained the title when he was in 1849, when the committee for search was formed, a 1-man deacon committee. He kept that title all the way to 1876. They never increased the deacon committee beyond 1 man, Samuel Zug. The other 2 committees formed themselves into a group of 6 or 7 each. On orders of the Presbytery, they notified Presbytery, we've got a chairman. The one with the forethought to look ahead was the man that had the forethought to come here and build a furniture factory, Samuel Zug. The second committee was the one who had to take care of the money. Samuel Zug had come here, organized a building of furniture, ran a factory, was a bookkeeper who knew the value of proper bookkeeping and investing. And so that committee decided they needed somebody that had that experience. And so guess who they elected? Samuel Zug. The archives of Fort Street Church are just filled with things that happened in which Samuel Zug was either part of or the leader of for all of his working life. He was a member of Fort Street Church with a search committee in 1849. In 1859, 10 years later, this church opened up. Samuel must have done a good job. They had 26 members in their search committee, and when they opened their doors 10 years later, they had 167 members. You've got to remember Samuel Zugg signed up 141 people to be a member of 4th Street, and they didn't even have a church building. Nonetheless, they were ready for the day. And I can visualize Samuel Zugg standing there, greeting them when the big doors opened up on the morning of April the 24th, 1859, greeting them, asking them to come in, look around and see what a wonderful edifice this was, and the fact that it was going to be a historic church, and that it would be ready to carry on the motto of the search committee when they were first formed in 1849, Samuel Zugg. And he must have had a straight man in the crowd, because on cue, somebody in the back said, "And what is that motto, Mr. Zugg?" Big smile on his face, he had a full beard. He said, 4th Street Presbyterian Church, a spiritual beacon in the heart of Detroit. Thank you.